Hey guys, very good morning to all of you and welcome to the session of this Angular JS and Bootstrap training. I hope you are doing good today, and today we are going to continue with some more concepts in Angular JS. In our previous session, yesterday, we discussed how you can create your single page application in Angular JS, and I also explained about directives, expressions, how you can make the routes in the single page application, and we also created one application for calling the external API in which we use the HTTP service, and we displayed the data on the page and we used the movies API. So a lot of interesting stuff we discussed yesterday. I hope that you tried all these things and you have understood all the concepts. In case if you're finding any issues in understanding anything, you please ask your questions. First of all, I'll answer your queries and then I will start today's session. Okay, so Rajni, that's good that you have completed all the exercises successfully. And I'm getting that injection error. Okay, see guys, whenever you are getting some kind of injection error, it means that some module is missing, or might be you have not referred a file and it is expecting some module in the application. So let's say, for example, you're using the root, Angular root you are using, but you forgot to add the dependency ng root in your module. So in that case, it can give this type of error, and there can be many reasons actually. You can also have some syntax error in your code, then also it can display this type of error, because due to syntax error, it will not be able to create a particular module, and then it will not be able to inject that module in the application. So yesterday also I said that in case if you are getting any problems in your code, you please mail your code to my email address, and I will check and I'll get back to you. Or also, I'm taking the Adobe Connect daily between 1:30 to 3:30. You can connect with me and you can resolve your issues. Okay. Yesterday also, many participants connected on the Adobe Connect, and they resolved their queries. They were doing some small mistakes, and I just took their system on remote, and I just identified the error and I explained them that how they can resolve the error. So these all things we have done yesterday actually. There is a participant who is asking what is location provider. So location provider is also one of the service provided by Angular JS. Yesterday I got to know that some of you are finding some problems in the routes. It automatically displaying the exclamation sign in your URL. So for that purpose, we use this location provider, and in this location provider service, we have a method called hash prefix. So in case if you are getting some exclamation sign or some malicious characters in the URL, for removing those characters, unexpected characters, you can use this hash prefix method of location provider service. And this you need to add it in the configuration, which we are writing in our app.js file. Okay. So that is what we have to do. And can you explain me the success callback function? Success callback function is the same in which we were getting the response from the API, and we were displaying it on the page. If you want, I can just show you that controller once again and I can explain you. Just hold on. So app.config function root provider, in this line is root provider a keyword, or I can have any name? No, you can have any name. Root provider is a predefined service. See, whenever you write anything with $sign, it's predefined. Okay. If you are writing something with $sign, it is predefined. It is not like you can write anything instead of that root provider. So this $HTTP, $root provider, $root scope, $location provider, these all are predefined services available in Angular JS. Okay, and whenever any name is starting with $, it means it's predefined and it should be fixed name. You cannot take anything else. Has prefix is not accepted by it. It is not has prefix, my dear. It is hash prefix. H-A-S-H prefix. It's hash prefix. Okay, it's not has prefix. So there is a spelling mistake. You just write hash prefix and then it will accept. And remember that hash prefix is the method of location provider. Don't write it in the root provider. Yesterday one of the participants was asking, so I was also writing it by mistake as root provider dot hash prefix. Then I realized that it is not a root provider method, it is location provider method. So then we resolve that issue. So you please write the hash prefix method in case if you are finding any problems in the URL of your roots. Okay? Alright. So anything else if you would like to ask, you please write the questions in the hand raise. I think I have answered all your queries. But still if you have any more questions, you please write. I just removed all the hand raises which I answered. Okay, so I can't see any questions on the screen. In case if you don't have any questions, you please click on the plus sign. So let me just callback function, which one of the participant is asking. The success callback function is there. Okay, so just give me a minute. Okay, so here you can see that this is my code which we discussed yesterday for consuming the API, and you can see that the function which we are writing over here after in this then function, this is a success callback function. Okay, you can also have a failure callback function, but that we have not included in this example. So HTTP is a predefined service inside which we have a get method, and in this get method we have to mention the URL of that API which I want to consume. After passing a URL, it will make a request, the AJAX request to the API, and will try to fetch the information. Once it gets the data from the API, this callback function will be called automatically if it is able to get the data from the API, and whatever data it is getting from the API will get stored in this response variable. So this variable can be anything. You can also take res or maybe some other name. So this is just a parameter. So once you get this data in the response, we are storing it in the scope variable so that I can access it on my page. Okay, so that is what we are doing over here, and this is the only thing we discussed in the previous session about APIs. Okay, now in today's session we are going to see few more things, and I will explain you like how you can create your services and how you can make your directives, and we create a very small application in which we will work with JSON data, and we will try to implement some kind of CRUD operations. Obviously those CRUD operations will not be like a real time application in which you use the database, but that we will do temporarily in our object, because you know that if you want to connect your application with the database, you need a server-side technology, and Angular JS is not server-side. Okay, it's a client-side front-end framework. So Angular JS has no business with server side. Okay, yes, it can call the server-side APIs by using the AJAX methods which we have in the HTTP service. Okay, just like HTTP.get, post, put, delete, all those methods are there. So depending upon a requirement, we can call the API and we can get the data from there. Alright, so that is what we have done here. And now the next thing which I'm going to explain you today is we are going to make a very small application, and in that application, first of all, we will perform some basic operations like adding the data dynamically in the object, and modifying a data in the object, and removing the data from the object dynamically. How you can do it, that we will discuss today. After understanding this thing, we will also discuss how you can create your own services in AngularJS and how you can make your custom directives. Okay, so these are the things that we will discuss today. However, AngularJS, you can say that there are a lot of other things also we have in AngularJS which you can try by yourself. Obviously, it is not at all possible to complete everything within this much of period. Okay, but in this training we have completed most of the part that is there in the AngularJS. But there are a lot of dependencies are there which you can try by yourself. Just like I used ng-root. So it's a part of AngularJS, but it's a dependency. Similarly, you have ng-cookies. If you want to create cookies in your websites, you want to store some data in the cookies, you can use ng-cookies there. And there are a lot of other dependencies also we have which I can use in my AngularJS. Okay, so it is not like these are the only things we have. If you go to the dependencies, then you have a lot of scope in AngularJS. Okay, but we discussed the basic things which you can use for creating your basic application. And if you want to extend more, you just dive into the AngularJS dependencies, and there are endless opportunities there. Okay, so depending upon the requirement, you can use the different type of dependencies, and you can try those dependencies in the application. Okay, anyway, so today I'm going to create one more page. So let me just close this home and everything. What I'll do is I'll just make one more page here. Okay, so for example, I'm just going to create one more page here. Let's say views, new file, and I can give the name over here called products. Okay, products.html. I'm just going to make one page. Alright, so in this products.html I'll create the interface, but before that I have to set the roots, otherwise we will not be able to see this page. So what I can do is I can simply write the same code here, .when, and here I can say product, and here also I can say products.html. Okay, so that's the template URL. I can access this particular page by specifying this root in the URL. Anyways, we will create the hyperlink for accessing this page, where we need to mention this URL in the hyperlink. Now I'm also going to create a controller for this page, and for that I'm going to create one file in my controllers folder. So let me just right click, new file, and I can say product controller.js. Okay, product controller.js. So here is the file. Fine. And now I can simply say angular.module, and then I can say my app.controller, and here I can mention the name of my controller. So let's say I'm giving a name as product controller, and the same way I can also mention the callback function, where I can use some services. Okay, so that's my controller I have created. So now the next thing is you also have to add the reference of this product controller.js file in your index.html. So let's go to the index.html, and here we are going to add the reference of my product controller. Okay, so here you can see we just added the product controller.js file reference, and let's go to the app.js, and in the app.js we have to mention the controller name now. So controller is product controller. Okay, so we have done all the things. Now we have associated one controller with this products.html page, and this is the controller. So to test whether it is associated with the page or not, what I can do is I can simply take one variable in the scope called name, and I can store some value, and I can try to access this value on my page. So let's go to the product HTML, and here I can say name. So you can see we got this name expression. However, you can also write it in the paragraph or maybe in some other element. So let's execute this app and let's try to get this products page. And one more thing I'm doing here, I'm also going to create one hyperlink so that I can navigate to that page. So let me just add this here, and I can say product. Okay, so let's start the server. For this I can go to Atom Live Server, Start Server, and we'll open this browser in my system. Okay, alright, so we got this product hyperlink. You can see when we click on this product hyperlink, you can see we are getting oops, there is a mistake. So it should be product actually. So I forgot to mention the link correctly. So now it is fine. So you can see we got this John. Okay, so we got this over here. John value it is showing. This means my controller is properly associated with my page. Okay, so that's what we can do it here. Alright, so my controller is working and I can access this value on my web page. This means the controller is associated with my web page. Now the next thing which I have to do is I need to create the interface here, and let me explain you what actually I'm trying to do here. Okay, so I'll tell you in the in some time. First of all, let me just create the interface. So okay, so I can simply say div dot form group, and I can say input, and we have form control. And the placeholder is we can say product name, and we are also going to mention the ng model. Okay, and remember that this time I'm going to mention the name of this ng model in a little different way. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm just going to write like this: product dot product name. Okay, product dot product name. That way I'm just going to write this ng model. The reason behind doing this is like I want to create one product object, and inside that product object I will take one property called product name, and in that product name I will store the value of my product. Okay, of my product name. So that's why I'm just writing it like this. And the same way, let me just take some other text boxes as well. So here I can say product description, or maybe I can say the brand name. Okay, and here I can say the price. Okay, and let me add one more. Here I can say quantity. Okay, so that is what we are just going to write here, and after that what I'm doing is I'm just going to mention all the ng models over here. Okay, so product dot product name, product dot, here I can say the brand. Okay, so I can simply say the brand, Oops, I just missed the hyphen actually. Okay, so it should be ng-model. So product dot, and we also have here price and product dot quantity. So these are all the text boxes I just created. Okay, so ng model and placeholder we have set, and also we have created all the text boxes. Now let me just add the button here. So for adding a button, I can say button, and inside this button I can add a class called btn success, and I can say submit. Okay, now let's get back to the page and let's see whether we are getting the interface or not. So yes, we are getting this interface, and you can see we created the page like this. Okay, so our interface is ready. Now what I want to do is I want that whenever I enter something over here, if I click on this submit, it should display this particular data here in the table format. This is what I want. Okay, I want to take the input from the user. Whatever input the user has entered, when I click on submit, it should display this data here in the table format. So how we can do that? Remember that here we are not going to use any backend technology or any database. We will store this particular data temporarily in our JavaScript object. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just going to my product controller, and here obviously we need to write some code. Okay, so here I'm first of all going to declare one variable, let's say product list, and this I'm taking as a array variable, and it's a scope variable obviously, which I can access it on my web page. So product list is the array variable. In that array variable I will store all my data. Okay, so right now this is empty, and what we have to do, whatever data the user is entering, and when the user is clicking on this button, it should call a function. So I'm going to create a function as well, scope dot save product, any name you can give, and I'm writing a function. Okay, now after that what we have to do is we just have to take some value. Okay, we need to take the value from this web page. Okay, and we need to add it in the product list. So here I can do one thing. I can write like this, where product equals to, and here I can write like that, where product equals to, we have different not where actually, it should be scope dot product. Okay, actually I'm trying to refer this particular object, okay, that I mentioned in my ng model, this one, product. So this I can access by using a scope, so that's why I'm writing here scope dot product. So inside this product we have multiple properties like product name, brand, quantity, and price. So I would like to set the value in that. So what I can do is I can simply write like this. I can say let me just check it, is product name. So product name is, I'm getting it from my scope dot product equals to, no, I'm retrieving a data actually, so it should not be like this. Just a minute, huh? Where product scope dot product dot, and I'm just going to write here product name. Okay, so that is what I'm just going to write it there, and let me just try whether I'm able to access this data or not. Okay, so then only I will write the rest of the things. So console.log, there we have a product, and I would like to call this particular function on the button click. So here we can say ng click equals to the name of the function is save product. Okay, and now I'm going to my web page. Let's open the developer options so that I can check, and I'm just going to enter something here. If I say submit, so yes, we are getting this particular object over here. As you can see, this means I'm able to retrieve the information from this and I'm adding it in my object. So we are able to create this particular object over here. Now what we have to do is we need to do the same thing with the rest of the properties as well. So we have a brand, and in the brand I can say we have scope dot product dot brand. Okay, and we also have price, that is scope dot product dot price, and then we can say quantity is scope dot product dot quantity. Okay, so these are all the properties I just added, and now if I just go back to my page and if I try this, let's see whether I'm able to get this in the console or not. So I can say laptop, the Dell 35,005. If I say submit, so yes, you can see that we are getting this particular data in the form of JavaScript object. Okay, so all that data I got here, the brand name, price and product name and quantity, everything we are getting as a JavaScript object. Now we need to push this particular object actually in the product list so that I can get this list on my web page. So that's quite simple. You can simply write like this: scope dot product list dot push. Okay, so push is a predefined method that can be used in the arrays. It's a JavaScript method actually, which you can also use with Angular JS, and this push method will push this particular object inside this array. So we are just writing like this: product. Okay, so scope dot product list dot push product. So I'm going to push this data, this product, in the product list. Once I push this data in the product list, I also would like to access this data on my web page. So what I can do is I also would like to get this data on my web page and want to display it in a table format. So for this I'm going to create one more interface, and I can write the same thing here. Okay, so div form group, and here I can say table. I think the form group is not required here. So table, and we have thead, and we have tr, we also have ph, and there are how many text boxes I want? 1, 2, 3, 4 text boxes I want. Oh, sorry, the headings I want. So 4th I want, so I want product name, and I also want brand, I want price and quantity. Okay, so this is the table I have, and let me just define the body as well. So I can say body, and we have tr, and inside tr we have td. So td also 4 tds I want, not yes, 4 TDs I want. And the first thing is we also have to use the ng repeat over here. Okay, we have to use the ng repeat because this time we are going to iterate in the array. So ng repeat equals to p in product list, and then I can say here p dot product name. Okay, and then same way I can say p dot brand and p dot price, p dot quantity. Okay, so that's what we are doing here. Now I'm just going to my web page and let me just try whether I'm able to get this particular data over here or not. So let me just try to add this laptop, and the brand is Dell again, 35,000, quantity is 5, and if I click on submit, you can see that it's showing this particular data over here. So this means that we are able to push the data successfully in our array, and we are able to display this information over here. So you can pass some other things also. So might be I can say tablet, and I can have Lenovo, price is 15,000 and the quantity is 7. So if I click on submit, one more record I get here. Okay, so that's the very simple kind of app I just created, but remember that this all data is not going anywhere on the back end, or it is not getting stored in the database. Okay, we are just storing this information in our array object, and we are displaying this information over here. The moment you refresh this page, all this information will be gone. Okay, so this information will be lost once you reload the page, or maybe close the page and reopen it again. So all this information will be lost because it is not getting stored anywhere in the database. Okay, so that's the simple thing I just created, but this is just the how we can add the data in our object array. And the next thing which I'm going to tell you is like how you can delete this data dynamically, and how you can modify this data dynamically in the application that I'm going to tell you. Okay, so just like I created the function as save product for saving the information, the same way I can also make a function called delete product, in which I will write the code for deleting a product. Okay, so that I will do it here. Alright, but before I just explain you that, you please ask if you want to ask anything. In case if you have any questions, any doubts, you can discuss your queries here. Okay, so this is a simple example I just created, in which I'm taking the input from the user, and whenever I'm clicking on the submit button, it is showing this data on the table. Okay, so in case if you have any doubts, you can ask your queries, please. How I can remember the flow of the process? How you can remember? See, I have not done anything new today. The only thing which I have done new is this function and this push method. Rest of the things are totally same. Okay. How you can create the controller, that already we discussed yesterday. How you can make a single page application, that also we discussed. So I can understand that if you are doing it for the first time, you will feel like that how we will remember all this process. This happened to me also. When I learned this particular Angular JS for the first time, I was really very worried that how we will remember all these things. Okay, because there are a lot of files we need to create while working on single page app, and different modules are there, so it is very difficult to remember. But once you start working on Angular JS, and if you try to create one or two applications, you will get familiar with all these concepts. So since you are learning it for the first time, that's why obviously it will take time to understand. Okay. Can I store form values in local storage? Yes, you can store in local storage or in session storage any JavaScript object you can use. There is no problem at all. If we want to save the product list in database, then we need to call backend services for it. Is it correct? In case if you want to store the data in the database, you need to create the API, and through that API you need to pass the data which will get stored in the database. Okay, that is what we have to do actually. What are the plugins you are using for autocomplete in Atom? For autocomplete, I'm not using any plugin. It gives you that suggestions automatically. I'm not using any plugins for that. It's a default feature for Atom. Okay. I want to read data from CSV file using Angular. Is it possible? I'm not really sure, but I don't think that it will be possible for you to read the data from any external resource. Okay, by using Angular JS, because this particular question, one more participant has asked yesterday, that can we read the data from local JSON file? So I told you that if you want to do so, you can do it, but only by using AJAX methods or by using jQuery AJAX, because as per your browser, it does not allow anybody to access any local resource due to a security issue. So I don't think that you will be able to get the data from the CSV file or any JSON file by using only Angular, but yes, if you are using any server-side technology, then definitely you can do that. Okay. Atom Beautify is not working when I save it. So make sure that this plugin or the package is enabled in the settings. If it is disabled, then obviously it will not work. Okay, so you need to enable this particular plugin. By default it gets enabled once you install this package, but sometimes might be it get disabled and you can get it enabled from the settings again. Okay, so make sure that your package is enabled and then it should work. Okay, so there is a participant from Chennai Annanagar Center who is saying little confusion. So you please tell me what is your confusion so that I can help you to understand. So guys, that's why I discussed the JSON objects and JSON concept yesterday, so that you can understand all these things. This particular concept is totally based on JSON. Okay. Yesterday also I just discussed that how you can create your JSON objects and how you can write your JSON data. All these things we discussed yesterday. Okay. So if you have understood the concept of JSON, then this you can understand easily. The only thing is, like, we are dynamically adding the data in the JSON object. Okay, in this array object, dynamically we are adding one JSON data. Okay, this is a JavaScript object actually, and this JavaScript object dynamically I am adding in this array. Okay, and for this I am using the push method. That's the only thing we are doing here. Okay. Alright, so let's go to the next part, and the next thing which I'm going to tell you is like how you can remove the data. Okay, and one more thing I want to tell you, if you want that when you click on the submit, it should clear all those fields after inserting the data here. What you can do is, it's also very simple. You can simply say scope dot product equals to this single quote open, single quote close. Okay, that's what you can do. What is that product actually? This is the same object I have here in my ng model. Okay, just look at here. I can just wrap this once. So here you can see this ng model is the same. Okay, I'm just hiding my video. So NG model, this is this product I am talking about. So I would like to make this product object as empty. Okay, that's why I'm just writing it like this. So let me show you. If I just write now like laptop and Dell and price is 25,005, and if I say submit, you can see it is submitting the data over here, but it is also clearing the fields. Okay, so that you can just enter the next record and you don't have to remove the values manually. Okay, so that is what you can do it. Now the next thing which I am going to tell you is like how you can remove the data. And for this, what I'm doing, I'm just going to create a button. Okay, here I'm going to create a button for removing the data. Okay, and for this I'm just going to products.html. And in this products.html, I'm just going to add one more TD. Okay, let me just maximize this. So one more TD I just added over here, and here only I'm just going to write a button. Okay, so let's say I'm just writing a button here, and in this button I'm going to add a class. So class as btn danger. Okay, and if you want, you can use some glyph icons over here, or also maybe you can write some text if you want. Let me check whether I have a fonts folder or not. I don't think so. We have a fonts folder. Okay, no, I don't have a fonts folder here. Okay, anyways, no problem. I can just use like this. So here I can say times, this is a HTML entity actually. So how it will show you, let me just add one record. So let's say laptop, brand is Dell, price is 25,005. If I click on submit, you can see that you are getting this record, and you are also getting this particular button. When you click on this particular button, it should remove this record from here. Okay, this is what I want. Okay, so obviously we need to create a function which we need to call on the click of this button, and it should remove this record from here. Correct? So how we can do that? For this, obviously we need to write some code in our controller. So let's go to the controller, and here I'm going to create a function. So I'm saying scope dot, and I can write delete product equals to function, and after that I'm just going to say this should be a parameterized function actually. Okay, so I'm just going to take one parameter as product. Okay, and I can say so I would like to delete that actually. So how you can do this? So for deleting a particular record from the array, we can use one method called splice. Okay, we can use a method called splice, and for using that method, we actually have to pass two parameters in the splice method. One is the index number, which record I want to remove, and the second parameter is how many values I want to, how many records I want to remove. So let's say if I am passing like this, we have a method like splice, so I can write like this, product list dot splice method is there. Okay, in the splice method there are two parameters we have. First parameter is the index number. Okay, so for example, if I'm writing 0, and the second parameter is how many items you want to remove. So if I'm saying 2, it means starting from 0th index, it will remove 2 items from the array. Okay, zeroth record, and first record it will remove if I write like this. But obviously every time I want to remove only one, so that's why I'm just writing 1 here. And obviously we should not write here 0, otherwise what will happen, it will always delete our first record. I want that whenever I click on a button, it should get the index number first, and that particular value, that particular record only it should delete. Okay, so how we can get the index number? Okay, how we can get the index number? Okay, I can do one thing. I can simply write like this. Var index equals to scope dot product list. First of all, I'll try to show the index number. Actually, I'm not sure. So scope dot product list dot index of product. Okay. Oops. And let me try to display this on the console first. I can say index. Okay. So now I'm just going to save this, and I'm going to my web page, and let me add something. And I'm also going to open my developers console. Okay, so first of all, let's add some information here. So I'm just going to write a tablet, Lenovo, price is 18,000 and quantity is 7. We click on this submit. Oh, I forgot one thing actually. I didn't call this particular method. Okay, the delete method I didn't call on my web page. Okay, so what I can do is I can call this particular function on the button click. So ng click equals to, and we have a method called delete product. Okay, so ng click equals to delete product. Whenever I call this particular function, it should execute this code. Okay, so and according to this code, it should take the index number of that product where I clicked. Okay, and we are passing this particular p in the parameter while calling this function. So delete product p, this p we are talking about. So this p is actually a reference of each and every record. So wherever I will click, on which record I will click, that particular record will be there in the p variable, and that record will be passed in this product parameter, and then I'm getting the index number of that product, and the index number will get stored in this index variable. Okay. So let's try this now. So tablet Lenovo 15,005. So submit. So this is the record I got. Let me add one more. Camera Canon 7 23,000. So I can say submit. So 2 records I got here. Okay. Oops, I just mentioned it wrong. Oh, anyways. So you can see here, you can see these buttons. So let me just click on this particular button first. So if I click on this button, oh, it is showing -1. No, this means it is not returning the correct record. Okay. What is the problem? Delete product p, and it will be passed here. Scope dot product list dot index of product. Code seems to be fine, but why I'm getting -1? We are getting -1 actually. We are getting something, but we are getting -1. It should not be a -1. It should return the index of that particular product. Okay, let me just try with one record. So tablet and Lenovo, price is 15,005, submit. If I click here, yeah, we are getting 0. So how we are getting now? Earlier it was not showing. Okay, so let me try with 2 records now. So what I can do is I can say Lenovo, not Lenovo here, tablet, Lenovo, price is 25,000, quantity is 7. I can say submit. So this is one, and I can say camera, Canon, and price is 23,000 and quantity is 10. So if I click on submit, we got this. So I'm just going to click on this button. So yes, now we are getting it 1, and if I click on this particular button, you can see we are getting it 0. I really don't know like why it was showing that problem earlier. Might be there was some mismatch in the price and quantity value, so that's why this problem was there, because I'm not using a particular property here. Okay, I'm using the whole record, whole object. So I'm able to get that particular index number of a particular record. Wherever I'm clicking, it is returning the index number of that record. Now after getting that index number, what we have to do is we just have to remove that data. So what I can do for this, now we got the index number, we simply have to call the splice method like this, scope.productlist.splice, and here we have index number and 1. So one item only I want to remove, and depending upon the specified index number, this variable. So let's try this now, and I'm just going to my web page. Okay, let's add some data again. So tablet, Lenovo, 15,005, submit, and I'm also going to write here the laptop, Dell, 12,007. Okay, so if I click on submit, we got this also. So now let me just remove this one. So if I click on this, you can see that this particular record is removed, and similarly if I click on this record is also removed. So that is how we can actually remove the data dynamically from the list of arrays that I stored with the help of the splice method. Okay, so that's a simple application I just created, in which I am taking the input from the user, we are saving it in the array, and we are also able to remove the data dynamically by using a splice method. Okay, in case if you have any questions, please ask. I'm not getting any questions from anybody, so if this is clear to everyone, can you please click on the plus sign? Why you have taken index, 1 as a parameter in splice? So as I said that in the splice method we have 2 parameters. The first parameter is the index number of that item which I want to remove, and the second parameter is the number of items I want to remove starting from this index number. So maybe I can simply pass here 2, then what will happen, whatever index number I have here, starting from that index number, it will delete 2 items, the next 2 items. So I want to remove remove one item only every time. Whenever I click on a particular button, it should remove that record only. So depending upon the index number, I'm removing a value, and only one item I want to remove. That's why 1 here. So this second parameter is the number of items which you want to remove. Okay, and the first parameter is the index number of that item which you want to remove. Okay. All right. Okay, so if this is clear, then let's go to the edit now. So I'm also going to create one interface in which I will edit this information, and for this, what I'm doing is I'm just going to create one more button. I think I should add this fonts also. Okay. In case if you want to use some icons, either you can use the Bootstrap. You already have that option. In Bootstrap you have glyph icons which you can use. There is one more alternative we have which I can use for showing the icons, and that's a very nice option we have, that is known as Font Awesome. Okay, there is a Font Awesome. We can use the CDN for that Font Awesome, and we can get it there. So let me try this, the Font Awesome, which I can use for adding the icons. Okay, so this is the CDN which I'm just taking for this Font Awesome, and I'm just going to add it in my index.html page. So remember that this I'm just adding for getting some icon libraries. Okay, sorry. So I can say link, and then I'm just adding this Font Awesome CDN. Okay, so you can see we have this Font Awesome. Alright, and now I can use some Font Awesome icons here. So how do I use that? That reference also you can get it on the internet. There are so many websites out there. Anyways, I can just go to this fontawesome.io, the official website of Font Awesome. From where I can just download this library, or maybe I can just get it there. Okay, so there are thousands of icons out there which we can use. Okay, so let me just try this. Do we have any documentation here? Okay, yeah, so this is the class we are using now. So there are a lot of icons out there, as you can see. Thousands of icons you can find out over there. So what we are doing is we are just going to find out, let's say, edit. Okay, or maybe I can say delete, or maybe remove is there. Okay, so remove icons are there, so you can see that a lot of remove icons we have which I can use. Okay, and maybe I can say trash. So this is the another icon we have. If you want to use this particular icon, you can just add this particular class and you can use that icon. So let me just use this class over here, and then let's try on my page. So products, and I want to add this here in this button. So instead of that times, what I can do is I can just write a span tag here, and it's quite simple, just like we were adding it earlier. Okay, so class icon trash, and let me just try whether I'm getting this thing or not. Laptop Lenovo prices 15,760. submit. No, we are not getting it. Icon trash. I think I'm not adding the reference correctly. Just give me a minute. Oh yes, so we are getting it now, this particular icon. So I was using the incorrect class might be, and that's why I was not getting it. So I'm getting this now, and I'm just looking for our trash icon. Okay, so there is our trash icon we have. Yes, here it is. So obviously I don't remember the class, that's why I'm just simply copying this class name from there, and I'm just writing it over there. So let's see. So yes, we got this trash icon over here, you can see. Okay, so that way actually we can add this these icons. Okay, should it be a I tag and not a span tag? No, we can use it in the span tag also, but actually I was looking for different classes. We have some classes over there that will work in the I tag, which I was using earlier, just like icon classes. But I was looking for these classes which I just use over here, which starts with FA, that is font awesome classes. And I can easily grab this kind of icons over there by using the font awesome CDN. Okay. And we can also use the edit icon might be, so we have the edit. So that kind of a FA pencil is one of the icon is there. Okay, so that I can use it. So let me just try to create one more button, and I'm just going to add it here, and this time I'm using FA pencil. Okay, so this particular button I want to create for editing, and I can go to my web page, and now I can just enter some text. I'm just trying it, so I can say submit, and you can see we got this edit button, and we also got this trash icon. Okay, actually the similar kind of a thing you can also do with glyph icons, but the glyph icon has some limited number of icons. That's why these days developers are moving on to this font awesome, and we have thousands of icons over here which I can use it in my web pages. So I also recommend you to use this font awesome, but if you really want to get only work on the Bootstrap, you have the glyph icons. Okay, so maybe I can just write the class here, let's say warning. Okay, so we want a different color actually, that's why I'm just doing so. And now if I enter something and if I click on submit, you can see we got these two buttons. So we are getting this record, and we are also getting these two buttons. Okay, one is the edit, and the another one is delete. Okay, so delete we have already done, and if I click on this delete, it is deleting that record also. Now let's do something with edit. Okay, so I want to edit the record as well. So in order to edit our record, we need to create one function here, and that I can do here. I like the scope dot edit product, and I can say function. Okay, but before we edit the product, actually we have to get the product, and we need to just have this particular data in our text boxes so that I can edit that. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just going to create one more function the same way, just like I created this delete product. So get product is the function I'm creating here. And okay, there's one participant is saying not able to see the screen. Dear, I think your projection screen is minimized. So there's a projection screen at the bottom. You click on that, you will be able to see. Okay, you are saying it's okay now. Fine. Okay, so what I want to do is, this is my web page. Okay, and if I'm just going to add some product, it is showing two buttons over here, edit and delete. I want that whenever I click on this edit, it should open one modal, okay, the bootstrap modal, and in that modal it should display those values of the selected record. Okay, so that I can edit in that modal, and once I click on save changes, it should modify the data in this table. So that's what I would like to do here. And for this, what we can do is, like, first of all, we have to include the modal. So let's go to the get bootstrap. Okay, so get bootstrap JavaScript components, I'm going here, and I would like to take a modal from here. Okay, so let me just take the modal. Yes, here it is. So this is a modal we have, and this modal I want on my product.html. This I can keep it even outside the container. Okay, so here I'm just putting this modal. You can see that the ID, we have an ID of the modal also, which I will use for popping up this modal on the page on the click of the button. Okay, so this is the ID of the modal here. I will make a body of this modal also. Okay, so if you want to pop up this modal, you have to use this attributes data toggle modal, and data target is the ID of your modal you have to mention. Okay, so the same thing, I'm just going to use it there. So let's go back to the edit button. So here I'm not going to use any ng click and all. So I'm removing it, and simply I'm adding these attributes, data toggle and data target. Okay, so this means that whenever I click on this button, it should target this modal, my modal here. So let me try, and let's see whether it is showing this modal or not. So for this, obviously we need the button. So here is my button. Now if I click on this particular button, it should pop up the modal. Okay, so if I click here, you can see we got the modal here. Alright, so we are getting a modal, and that is how you can actually display the modal on your web page. Fine. Now one more thing you can do it. Actually, I don't want to display, or maybe I can say that I actually don't want to display this particular modal like this. Okay, I want that whenever I click on the button, it should call that modal dynamically, because I also have to set the values in the modal. So for this we need to write some code in the product controller. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just removing this thing. I don't want this. I want to pop up this modal by using a simple jQuery code. Okay, so that is also an alternative you have. What you can do is you can write a simple jQuery code here, and you can write it like this: hash my modal. This is the ID of the modal actually, and you can call a function called modal here. Okay, so whenever you click on this particular function, we are calling this particular function on the button click. So I can again say ng click equals to get product. Okay, get product. So let me just make it without parameter right now. So get product. I just wanted to show you that how we can open the modal by using a simple jQuery code. So this is simple jQuery syntax I'm writing. Hash mymodal dot modal function I'm creating. It's a predefined function. Okay, so let's see whether I'm able to get the modal or not. So I'm going to the page, and now I can simply write some text. Oops. So submit. If I click on this, it should display a modal. So yes, we got it here. Okay, so there are multiple ways we have to display the modal on your web page. Either you can use that data toggle and data target attributes, or also you can use a jQuery syntax for popping up your modal. Okay. Okay, so the next thing is the next thing which I'm going to do is I would like to get that particular product now. Okay, and I want to display this in the modal text boxes. So let me create the interface for this modal now, and here I can create the similar type of interface which we have here. So let me take this. Okay, so similar type of text boxes I'm just taking here, and I can do one thing. I can just change the object here because I don't want to create any confusion. So let me just change the object. It should be edit product. Okay, everywhere I just change the edit product. Now let me check whether it is showing this modal or not. Submit. If I click on this, so we got this interface. Okay, so now what I want is whenever I click on this edit, these values it should display in this modal. Okay, here it should display all these values. This is what I want. Okay, so how you can do that? So this time what we have to do is the same thing we have to do actually, which I was doing while deleting a product. So here I'm just taking one parameter called product, and we need to take the index number of that product first of all, just like I was taking here. So same statement I'm writing it, and then I can say scope dot edit product, and I'm setting this object. Okay, once I set this object, the value will be displayed in the ng models. Okay, in the text boxes the value will be displayed once I set the data in this object, because this object only I have mentioned in the modal ng models. Okay, so edit product, and here we have the same properties. Let's say the product name should be product list, not product list, it should be scope dot product list, and here I can say index dot product name. Okay, and the same way I can say brand scope, and here I can say brand, and after that I can say quantity, and I can say here quantity, and after that I can also write here a price, and here I can say a price. Okay, so let me explain you what I'm actually doing over here. Okay, so what I'm actually doing over here, let me just do that. Let me just explain you. I'm just saying $scope.edit product, and here we have all the properties which we have in this particular object. Okay, so edit product, and I'm setting all the properties of this edit product. So what is that edit product actually? The edit product is the object which I mentioned in the modal. Okay, I want to set these properties: product name, brand, price, quantity, which are there in the edit product. And from where these values are coming? These values are coming from the product list array. So based upon the specific index number, I want to get the data from product list, and I want to set it in this edit product. So once I set this into edit product, what will happen? It will set the values in the text boxes. Okay, so let's see whether we are able to get this data or not. So I'm going to my browser, and let me just try to enter some input. So camera, brand is Nikon, price is 25,000, quantity is 7, submit. Oops, there is some error, I think. Unexpected token, there is something missing. Unexpected token, line number 21. Oh, this is the problem here. It should be equals to actually. Okay, so it is fine now. So here I can say product name is camera, brand is Nikon, price 25,007. If I click on the submit, okay, so we got the data here. Now I'm just going to click on this edit. It should display this particular data in my modal. So let's click on this edit. No, it is not showing that. Okay, we got the error also. Cannot read property product name of undefined, line number. Okay, it is showing this in the Angular actually. So cannot read property product name of undefined. Oh, I missed that particular parameter. Okay, there should be get product P. Okay, I missed that particular thing. Okay, so get product, and we have this P. I just missed that particular parameter actually, so that's why it was showing undefined. Okay, so now I can go back and let's try again. Camera, Nikon, 25,007. If I click on submit, let's edit. So yes, we got the data over here, and you can see all that data is getting displayed in my modal. Okay, let me just add one more record here. So let's say this time I'm just writing mobile, and I can say Samsung, price is 28,000, quantity is 10, submit. So these two records are there. So if I click on this, you can see in the modal it is showing these all values. Okay, let me close and let me click on this edit button. So if I click on this edit button, so this time it is showing this data in the modal. Okay, so that's how it is actually showing over there. So you can easily access this particular data. Only one simple logic I'm just writing there. Okay, okay, so I can see some hand raisers on my screen. Let me just answer. Vikas is asking, can't we say scope dot edit product equals to product list index? I'm not really sure. Let's try this. Scope dot edit product equals to scope dot product list, okay, index. So that is what I'm writing here. The only thing is, like, I was setting the value one by one in all the properties, and according to you, you want to set the entire object in this particular object. So let's try. I didn't try that thing. So product name, we have laptop, and brand is again Lenovo. Price is 35,000. Okay, and 10. Submit. If we click here, so yes, we are getting this also. Okay, so we can do that also. Camera, Nikon, 24,000, quantities 5. So submit. So if I click there, we are getting it, and if I click there, we are getting this. Okay, so that also we can do it. Okay, so you can set it one by one maybe, or maybe you can set the entire object like this. So we are getting a particular object based upon a specific index number, and then we are setting this particular object to edit product object. Okay, so this also you can do. Hema is asking, will you please discuss common errors, error codes, messages, as well as how to debug code stepwise on browser? See, there is no such special things we have for debugging the code and all. The only thing is, whenever your code is not running, you just go to the developer options in the console and check out the errors there. Okay, it displays the line number also whenever you get some kind of errors, and you just press F12. When you press F12, it will open this developer options where you have this console. In case if you have any errors in your program, will display this error over here. Okay, so that's how you can debug this and how you can check for the errors. This is the only thing you have to do. There is no such special thing we have. Okay, however, there are a lot of different extensions and plugins are available in the browsers which can be used for debugging your code of Angular and all. But we are not getting into this. Okay, and we can easily identify the errors by just checking it in the console. Okay, so you have seen that I was getting some error in my program, so immediately I opened my developer console and I read the error, and after reading the error, I just got the idea like what is the problem. So I rectified it, and then my program is working fine. Okay, so that's the only thing you have to take care, that you should always open your developer options if your code is not running. So definitely you will get some errors over there. Once you resolve that error, and you can easily rectify the issue. Okay. Alright, so you have these two options. I'm not just removing it. Either you can set the entire object, or you can set it one by one, all the values. This is how you can do it. Now the next thing which I'm going to tell you is how you can make the changes. Okay, how you can make the changes. So for this, we have to create one more function which we will call when we click on that save changes. So right now you can see when I'm clicking on this particular edit button, it is showing a modal and it is showing all the values. Now what I want is, whenever I make any changes in any value, if I click on the save changes, it should make the changes here also. Okay, means it should edit the data. Correct? So how you can do it, that I'm going to tell you now. Cannot use save product method. No, save product method you are using for adding a new record. Okay, it is not for editing an existing record, right? Save product is for adding a new record. It is not for editing the existing record. If you want to edit an existing record, first of all you need to identify its index number which you want to edit, and then you can set the object. Okay? So what you can do is you can simply say scope dot save, or I can say edit product. Okay, edit product I can write, and I can say function, and here also I can take one parameter, and then I can say the same statement I can write, and here I can say the same thing. So this time I can write it like this: scope dot product list index equals to scope dot edit product. So I'm just trying to do with some shortcut. Okay, so scope dot product list index scope dot edit product. Okay, that is what I'm just trying to do it over here. Oh, it is a variable. Is this a variable I have? Yes, so it should not be this thing. Okay, okay, so we are creating a function called save product changes actually. Okay, so save product change is a function, and then we are writing this thing. Okay, so we should not take the same name, otherwise it will create a confusion. Okay, so let me just try. Okay, oops, we have some problem. Okay, so you can see these two records I have. Now I'm just going to click on this edit, and you can see we got this. So for example, I would like to change the price. So let's set this to 25,000. If I click on save changes, again I forgot to call the method actually, so we have to call this method. So before I click on that particular button, I realized that I didn't call that function actually. So I can call this function here, ng click equals to and the name of the function is save product changes. But wait, there is a problem. There is a problem. I cannot pass the parameter here. So this parameter I cannot pass, and if I cannot pass the parameter, then this means I cannot write this particular statement. We have to just look for some other alternative. So maybe I can just remove it, and this I can make it public. Let's declare it on the top. So by default I'm assigning some 0 value. Okay. Edit index, and here it should be edit index actually. Okay. So edit index is there, and now I can call this function, I think. Okay, let's try. So when I click on that button, save changes, it should save the data. And I want that it should dismiss the modal also. So it should be dismiss, data dismiss equals to modal. Okay, let's try. Mobile Samsung price is 15,007, submit. Let's click on edit. What is that? I done some mistake. Oh, index is not defined. Something I've done wrong. Oh, it should be edit index actually. Mobile Samsung price 15,007, submit. Edit. So yes, we are getting it. Now we are changing the value, and let's see whether we are able to change this or not. So save changes. So we are getting this particular thing, 25,000. Okay. So hey, just a minute. Even if I'm just making a changes in the modal, it is simultaneously changing it. So you can see that what's happening is right now, I don't even have to click on that button, save changes. Okay. So save changes, we are just giving it over here. So it is making a changes, but that is doing simultaneously. Okay, I have one more problem. It should be edit index. Uh-oh. So it is doing so because I'm just directly making a changes there. Actually, I want that whenever I click, then only it should change that. Okay. We are using the same edit product variable, I think. Yes, but I don't think that I'm using the same. Just let me check on the page. Here I just changed this edit product. So when I'm typing something in this particular text box, it is making the changes in the edit product, and after that simultaneously it is changing in the modal also. There is some issue with the variable name. The name of my object is edit product, and here it was only product, right? So edit product dot product name, brand, price, quantity, and that is what we have. And on the controller, when I'm typing something, it is directly changing in the table. Okay, just a minute. Even if I don't write this, I think it will make the changes. Brand is Lenovo, price is 5 and 15,000. 5, submit, edit. Yes, it is doing that. I think this is just because of this thing. Let me just try this code. Okay. Yeah, that was just because of that particular code. It was making changes because I was setting that particular reference of this object to this edit product. So that's why whenever I was making some changes in the edit product, it was making those changes in the product list also. And that's what it was doing actually. So now it is not making that changes. Let me just try to do the same way as I was doing it earlier. So edit index and product list, edit index, and I can just say like this. Okay. Button click ng click equals to open modal angular dot copy filter. What is that? What is that? Open modal angular dot copy filter list. What you are writing? Angular dot copy filter list, something like that you are writing. I don't know what is that. I got in Google. So what you are trying to ask, my dear? You just copied and pasted the code which you got from Google, but you also have to write your question. No, what you want to ask? You just added one code snippet on that. Okay, that is not our requirement, the code which you are writing over there. Okay, so scope dot product list edit index, and I would like to edit a particular product actually. So that's why I'm just going to write like this. So product list, edit index, and I have a property called product name. Okay, product name is there. So this product name should be equals to scope dot edit product dot product name. Okay, so let me try this whether I'm able to change the product name or not. Only one particular property I'm trying over here. So let me just write here mobile Samsung, price is 5,000 or 50,000 maybe, 7, submit, edit. If I change mobile phone, if I click on save changes, so yes, we are getting this mobile phone over here. So the same way we can do with the rest of the properties as well. So I was getting this particular problem because I was setting my object like this. Okay, so as I said that I didn't use this particular kind of a thing earlier, so I've done this in this way only. So when I created this particular application long time back, I was not getting this kind of issue. But since I added this particular statement, so I was actually not able to identify that where I'm doing some mistake. So anyways, now we have changed the code and we are setting all the properties one by one, and all these properties I can set. So maybe I can say a brand here, and I can also say a price, and here I can write quantity. So same thing I can do it here also, brand, price, quantity. So let's save this, and now I'm going to my web page. Let me add camera, brand is Canon, price is 15,000 and quantity is 8. So I'm clicking on submit. Let's try to edit this, and I would like to change this thing. So I would like to change the quantity, and I'm saying 10, and you can see that still it is not yet changed. The moment I click on save changes, then only it will change here. And I also want to change the price. It should be 20,000 actually. So right now it is 15,000 and 8. The moment I click on save changes, it should become 20,000 and 10. So I'm just going to click here, and here we go. You can see we got this 20,000 and 10. Okay, so that is how we are just doing it, and we are setting the data in our array. Okay, so we have done the editing also. Okay, so in this particular application, what we have done is we are creating a very simple type of application in which I have just added some data inside my array, and I'm saving it in the array variable, and I'm showing that array in my table format. Okay, so that's what we have done. Simple CRUD operations I'm doing, but obviously this is not a real-time CRUD operations which we usually do in our databases. Okay, this we are doing it in our array. Whatever data modification, deletion and insertion I'm doing here, I'm doing it temporarily in my array variable. The moment you refresh your page or redirect your page, all your data will be lost. So obviously this is the client side, and on the client side we cannot store the data anywhere in the database. For this we require some server side technologies. Okay, alright, so if you want to ask anything in this particular application, you please ask your queries. Okay, in case if you have any doubts. Explain only get product and save product changes. Okay, See, in get product, what I'm doing is, when I'm clicking on this particular button, this button, when I'm clicking on this button, I'm calling get product function. Okay, and while calling the function, I'm passing the parameter. In the parameter, I'm passing this record. Okay, this particular record I'm passing in my function. So this is a get product which takes a parameter. Whenever I click on a particular record on that edit button, it will execute this code. When it will execute this code, first of all it will open the modal, and after opening a modal it will set all these values in the text boxes. So first of all I am getting the index number of that record on which I clicked. Okay, so let's say the very first record I clicked, so it will return 0. If the second record I clicked, it will return 1, then 2, and so on. So on whichever record I'm clicking, it is I'm getting an index number and I'm storing it in the edit index variable. It's a global variable I declared on the top. You can see here where edit index equals to 0. So it's a global variable so that I can access it from anywhere. Okay, in this controller. Now the next thing which I am doing is I'm setting this edit product object, okay, which I declared in my modal. If you see the product.html in my modal, everything in every text box, all the ng model I mentioned with this object: edit product.product name, edit product.brand, edit product.price, edit product.quantity. So this means this particular object I am setting. I want to set the value in the text boxes, so that's why we have to set this object. So in this edit product object, we have all these properties which I'm setting. I'm taking the data from the product list based upon a specific index and setting the data on the different properties. Okay, so this is what I'm doing in the get product. So when we click on a particular record, it will pop up the modal and will set the data in the text boxes. Okay. After doing that, how we are saving the changes? Since we have already saved the index number in the global variable, we can access this variable from here also. Based upon the index number, it will make the changes in the product list array. And we are taking the value from our text boxes where we already have this ng model, edit product name. So the text box value I am setting in the product list at the specific index number. That is what we are doing here. Okay. We have not passed product object and save product changes function. So we don't have to pass the product object in the save product function, and we can't even pass the product object there, because this modal which you can see here, it is not inside that ng repeat. Okay. So here we cannot pass that p parameter over here, no. So how do you pass that product? We do not require that. Okay, we are already getting an index number when we are clicking on this get product, and we are saving it in the global variable, and that index number I am using here also. Okay. Can I search data from array? Search data from array means how you would like to search. How you would like to search your data? Okay, I think you are talking about any brand and anything like that. So you can do it. Okay, in Angular JS it provides you some type of filters which you can use for filtering your data based upon a specific field. Okay, so that you can use in case if you want to search. However, I will explain you. I have not yet explained the filters here, so I will tell you like how you can use the filter and how you can filter the data based upon a particular field. Okay. So guys, these are the things which we discussed here, and now I'm just going to take a break here of 10 minutes, and after the break we will continue and we will discuss how we can create services in AngularJS and how we can create custom directives. Okay, so these all things we will discuss after the break. Okay, so let's take a short break. Alright, so welcome back all of you, and now let's discuss few more things here. So I will just explain you like how you can add services, means how you can create your own services in AngularJS, and I will also tell you like how you can create your custom directives. Okay, so that we will discuss here, and but before going to that part, one more thing I'm going to tell you. Actually, there is one participant who has asked that how we can search a particular information, the particular data in our array based upon a particular field. Okay, so in AngularJS we have some filters. Okay, there are some predefined filters are there which you can use to filter your data, and also those filters can be used for formatting your information. So let me show you first, okay, and then only you can understand. So online you can get many references actually for this filters and all. Okay, so we have order by filter, we also have the lowercase uppercase filter, we also have the filter, we have name of the filter itself is filter actually. So there are a lot of different filters are there, okay, which we can use. So let me just show you like how you can use this particular filter. Okay. Okay. Just give me a minute. I'll share my screen. Okay. So we are on the same application right now, and you can see that we have the text boxes and button and the table. This is the same application which I just created. We have some different type of filters. For example, suppose when I'm typing some text and clicking on the submit, the same information is getting displayed here. Now what I want is, I want to display that product name in uppercase. Okay, so what I can do is I can simply write one simple filter like this, pipe symbol, and then I can say here uppercase. Okay, so now whatever it will display, the product name will be displayed in uppercase. So let's try this. I'm just going to write here laptop and brand is Lenovo. This is the price, anything I can enter, and then I can say submit. So you can see here that the name of the product which it is showing over here, it is showing in uppercase. However, I didn't mention the product name in the text box in uppercase. I mentioned in the simple case over here with first letter capital, but it is showing this value here in capitals. Why? Just because of this filter. Okay. So we mentioned this product name as uppercase, and hence it is showing that data in the uppercase. The same way you can use it in all string values wherever you want. You can also use one more filter over here. Let's say I want to display this price in the currency format. So I can use the currency filter over here. So p.price, and then I can add a pipe symbol and I can say currency. So I can add this particular information once again. Let's say camera, and the brand is Nikon, price is 25,000, quantity is 7. If I click on submit, you can see that it is showing this particular data in the currency format. So obviously by default it should be a dollar sign, because it will take dollar. Okay, automatically it will take dollar. If you want to change, then you have to use some glyph icons, or maybe you can use some HTML entities if you want to display that rupee sign, okay, Indian rupee sign. But if you are only using that currency filter, then it will display this dollar sign, and your this number for 25,000 will be displayed like this. Okay. So we applied two filters here. One is uppercase and the another one is the currency filter. Just like we have uppercase, similarly we have lowercase also. So if you want lowercase, you can do that as well. Okay. Okay, so this is one thing, and one more thing I would like to tell you. We also have order by filter here, which I can use for sorting the data. Okay, so how do I sort the data? Let me just explain you. For this, I can write in the ng repeat actually. Okay, so product.html. So here we have ng repeat. So inside ng repeat I can write the order by filter. Okay, so how do I write this order by filter here? We can simply say this pipe symbol, and I can say order by. Okay, and then I can mention the name of the field based upon which I want to sort my data. So for example, I would like to sort my data based upon the product name. Okay, so that way I can write order by product name. Now let me try to add a value, add a record here. So let's say if I write here mobile Samsung, and I'm writing a price 18,000, 8, submit. So this is one record I got. Now I'm going to add one more record actually. So I'm saying camera, and I can add a brand like Nikon. Price is 23,007, and I'm clicking on submit. So you can see that when I'm clicking on a submit, instead of showing this camera after mobile, it is showing before this mobile, because right now it is sorting the data based upon this product name field. Okay, so maybe if you add any other product name, okay, then it will display it according to the sorted order. Okay, based upon this product name, it is sorting the data in the alphabetical order. Okay, so order by you can just use here for sorting your data based upon a particular field. So you can write it like this: pipe symbol, order by product name. Right now, so that is how you can do it. So this is a order by filter. Now we have one filter called filter. Okay, filter is there. Filter I can use if suppose I would like to filter the data based upon a particular value. So you might have seen sometimes, let's say I want to have some text box here. Whenever I type something in that text box, it automatically filters the data based upon my input. Okay, so how to do that? I'm just going to create one text box over here before this table. So let me add one more row, and here only I'm just going to write so let's say I'm just writing here the placeholder as search, and ng model I am giving also. So in the ng model I can say search. Okay, that is what I'm writing here. Okay, and after that, now what I want to do is, I got one text box over here, and I want that whatever I type, based upon that it should filter my data. So for this we have to use one filter here. Okay, so how do I use that filter? I will write like this. I'll say filter, and then here I will mention the field name. Okay, here I will mention the field name, so I can say search. So what is that search? The search is actually the name of your ng model. So whatever name you have mentioned here, the same name you should mention here in the filter. So filter colon search. Okay, so let's try this now. I'm just going to enter some data here. So product name again, laptop, HP, 9, submit. So this is my data I got, and I'm also going to write camera. Then I'm going to write a brand. Okay, so these all things I got it here. Okay, now after that what I'm doing is I'm just going to enter some text. So for example, I'm saying H. So you can see H we have only in this particular record. Wherever it is, we are not finding the data right now based upon a particular field. We can do that, but right now I have not mentioned that. It is just searching that value, this value in your array. Wherever that value is there in that array, it is filtering that data accordingly. So right now the H is there only in this record where we have a brand HP. Now for example, if I say A, so A I think it is everywhere, and if I write here P, so P also we have here only, M. Okay, so M we have only in these two records. You can see camera and mobile. Here also we have this M. So it is filtering the data based upon a particular value. However, you can also write like this. Let's say you are writing Nikon. Okay, so Nikon you are writing, so it will give you one record only. So you can write the full like value also, and the moment you type something in the text box, it will start filtering your data automatically. Okay, so whenever you are typing something, okay, it is automatically filtering a data, and if it is not able to find out the data based upon the input string, then it will not give you any result. Means it will just show you the blank table. Okay, if it is not able to find out any value. So this is how you can use this particular filter. You can also search the data based upon a particular field. Okay, so if you want to do this, then you can write it like that. Maybe I can say filter, and I can write it like this: filter brand search. Okay, this is the condition I just mentioned. Okay, I want to filter where the brand is equals to the search. And what is that search? Again, it is that NG model. So this means whatever input I enter in my text box, it should match this input with the brand field. Okay, and it should filter the data accordingly. So let me save that. I'm going to my web page now, and here I'm just going to enter some input. So let's say I'm just going to write here the product name once again. Okay, so is there any problem? Oh, it is not showing the data. NG model is search. So filter, I think it should not be a colon sign. Let me try this one. Yeah, I think the colons will not come. Okay, the single quotes will not come actually. I was writing it in a single quote. So mobile I just entered, and I'm writing camera. Nikon is there. Price is 25,009. Okay, so these many records I have. Now let me just try to search. So for example, I'm just going to type M. So this time you can see that it is like filtering your data based upon the brand. So how we can make sure? You can see that here also we have M, and here also we have M, and here also we have M. But when I'm typing M here, it is not searching this record. It is only searching this record this time, because this time I'm searching or filtering the data based upon brand field. So it will not look into the product name or a price or a quantity. It will just look into the brand only. So whatever input I enter here in the text box, it will search that input in the brand field and will filter the data accordingly. So if I say L, so you can see it is showing that Lenovo. Okay. So that's how you can actually filter the data based upon a particular field. Okay. So if you don't want to filter the data based upon particular field, you can simply write filter : search. And if you are searching a data based upon a particular field, you can say filter : brand, the field name, : search, the NG model name. Okay. So that's how you can use these filters. Okay. Alright, I'm getting a hand raise. How to sort based on user sorting options. See, for this you have to create a function actually. Okay. You have to create a function, and that particular function you need to call on a button click. Just like suppose you are creating a table, and when you click on the header of a table, based upon that it should sort your data. So in that you have to create one Angular function, and that Angular function you have to call on the click event, and then you can apply the filter there. So that you are trying to do it dynamically. So in that case you have to create a user defined function. Okay, Angular function you have to create, and you can apply this dynamically. Okay. Okay, so I hope this is clear to everybody, like what all filters I just explained you. However, there are so many other filters also we have which you can use in Angular JS, and you can do some research on that and find out some other filters. But whatever filters are widely used, okay, I just explained you over here in this application. Okay. So I explained the uppercase, lowercase, currency, order by, filter. These all filters I just explained to you. Okay. Alright, so after understanding this thing, now the next thing which I'm going to tell you is how you can create custom directives. Okay. You know that in AngularJS we have some predefined directives like ng repeat, ng click, and ng model, ng init, ng app, ng controller. All of these directives are predefined directives. Now you can also make your own directives. Okay, and how do you make these directives? That I'm telling you now. So first of all, I would like to take the confirmation from all of you whether all the things are clear till now or not. In case if you have any questions, please ask. Otherwise you can click on the plus sign so that I can proceed further and I can tell you how you can create custom directives. Click on the plus sign please if everything is clear till now. Okay, so there are no questions. Fine then. So let's create a directive here. What I'm doing is, for creating a directive, I'm creating a separate folder inside which I will create a directive there. Okay, so I'm just going to hide my video, and here in this folder only I'm going to create one more folder called Directives. Okay, and in this directive I'm just going to create a new file. Okay, so I'm going to create a new file, and suppose I'm giving a name as navbar.js. Okay, navbar.js, this is the name of the directive file I'm giving here. So actually, what is the use of creating a custom directive here? The custom directives are just like the components. For example, you want to create a reusable component in your AngularJS application, which you want to reuse multiple times at different places. Okay. Right now we are creating a single page app. So whatever I put on my index.html page, it will reflect on all the pages. But it might be possible that you don't want to put something on the index.html. You have some around 10 pages. In 5 pages you want to put something same, okay, some same component you want to display on some 5 pages. On other 5 pages you don't want to display that. So what you can do, you can create one small component in your directive, and that you can create it separately. Okay, and that component then you can use it in any of your web page. Okay, so it is just like we are creating a user control. Okay, user defined controls, just like we create. So let me tell you one thing. Suppose I have this index.html. Right now you can see this navigation bar, I have this on index.html. Okay, let me just remove this navigation bar code from here. I don't want to add this here. And what I'm doing, I'm just going to keep this in a separate HTML file called navbar.html, which I'm creating inside the views. Okay, so here only I'm saying new file, and I can say navbar.html, and here I'm putting this navbar HTML code. Okay, so I'm creating it separately. Navbar, separate component I'm creating. Now how do I use this? Suppose if I want to display this on some pages, so how I can do that? This I can do it by using by creating a custom directive. So I already created one navbar.js file. Okay, one navbar.js file is there, and in this navbar.js I can write all my code. So I can say like this: angular.module my app dot directives. Okay, just like we create controllers, the same way we need to create the directive here. Okay, so angular.module my app dot directive, and here I can mention the name of the directive. So let's say I'm giving a name as navbar, and then here I can create a function. Actually here we are creating a function like this. This is a different syntax we usually use, and this is called as arrow function. Okay, arrow function we are writing. So this is a function only, callback function we are writing. Now here we say template URL. Where is my view? So the view resides actually outside this folder. We have one folder called views, and inside this folder we have one page called navbar.html. Okay, so that is what we have. Then I'm also going to write one more property here called restrict, in which I'm saying E. That I'll tell you what is that restrict E. Okay, so this is what I'm doing here. Now, since we have created a new navbar.js file, we need to refer this file on the index.html. Okay, so let's add this file here. script src equals to directive. Okay, directive folder is there, and inside this directive folder we have a file called navbar.js. Okay, so we created this particular directive called navbar, and this navbar is referring this navbar.html page. This means wherever I will use this directive navbar, it will render this navbar.html page there. Okay, so for example, I would like to display this navigation bar on my index.html. So this time I don't have to write all HTML code of the navigation bar. I can simply write like this, navbar tag I can write. So this means I created my custom directive, and since I mentioned restrict E, this means this navbar can be used as an element. Okay, that's why I am writing this navbar as an HTML element. We don't have any HTML element called navbar. Okay, this I created a custom directive in my Angular JS, which I can use it as a element. So restrict E means element. Okay, so navbar, I'm just writing it over here. Now let me just save this. I'm going to my web page and let's check whether it is showing this or not. I think there is some syntax error. Navbar.js, line number 3. Line number 3. Restrict. Unexpected token. Why it is showing unexpected token here? It should be like this. Now I can go to my page and we got this. So there was something missing actually. Okay, so there was something missing, that's why I was writing it. It was showing the error. Okay, so angular.module myapp.directive navbar is the directive which I want to create. Now in this navbar, whenever I call this navbar directive, it should call this function. Okay, so this function I am creating as a like arrow function. It is known as arrow function here, and this particular code it should execute. Okay, so template URL is navbar.html and restrict E. So wherever I want to use this navbar now, I can just write this as an element. So you can see, since I added this on the index.html page, if I go to my web page, you can see we got the navigation bar once again. Okay, this is the same navigation bar I got, and if you go to some pages, it will work the same way as it was working earlier. Now it might be possible that you want to display this navigation bar only on the specific pages. So on that pages only you can just put it over there. Okay, so it depends on your requirement. So might be you don't want to display it on all the pages, so don't put it on the index.html. Just put it on all those pages where you want to display this navbar. Okay, so the meaning is like the directives we are creating for writing for creating some custom components which I can use it in different pages. This is a reusable component I can access from any page now. Okay, one more thing you can do it, you can also create a separate controller for this directive. So in case if you have a controller for this directive, you can mention the controller as well. You can write it like this, controller, and then you can write the controller name, navbar controller. Obviously this controller you have to create. You can make it in the controllers folder, and then you can mention it like this, and whatever custom logic you want to write in your controller, you can write it over there. Okay, so that way you can add a controller as well, but as of now I'm not adding it. Okay, I'm just putting this template URL and restrict E. Okay, so there is one participant who is asking why double dot is there. It's quite simple. Why we are writing a double dot? Because if you see here, this navbar.js file is inside my directive folder, and this navbar.html is in my views folder. So how this file will refer this file? First of all, it has to come out from the directory, and then it has to refer this views folder and then the navbar.html. So whenever we say double dot, this is for coming out from the current directory. So right now this navbar.js in the directive folder. I am saying that it should come out from this directory. Then we have one folder called views, and inside that folder we have navbar.html. Okay, so that is how we are just writing there. Okay, Deepa is asking me to explain arrow function once again. See, there is nothing different in the arrow function over here. Just like we usually write our normal functions, no, the same way we are writing this function over here. Okay, so let's say if suppose I'm writing a directive over here. Usually when we create a controller, we write a function like this, no, function, and then we write like this. Okay, and then we create the function over here. Same thing I'm just doing here actually. Okay, but the only thing is, then when you are making a directive, actually you have to use this arrow function. So this is a function. We don't have to write the function keyword for creating this function. We can just write this parenthesis, and then we can write this arrow sign, and then we can write the brackets, and inside the brackets we can pass all the properties and parameters. Okay, so this means whenever I call this navbar, it will execute this function, and in this function whatever code is written in this curly braces, it will execute that. Okay, so that is what we are doing here. And there is one participant who is asking what is the use of restrict. See, restrict we are using so that we can restrict the use of our directives. If suppose I am just writing over here like this, restrict A, so then you cannot use your directive as an element. Okay, restrict A, if I am writing, you cannot use your directive as an element. If you go back to your page, you can see the directive is gone. Okay, it is not showing a navbar on the top. Okay, the navbar is gone. Why? Because on my page I am using this directive as an element, but in my code I mentioned the restrict as A. This means I have to use this directive as an attribute. Like this, you can use div, and here only you can say navbar. Okay, now if you go back to your page, you can see we got the navigation bar again. Okay, so here is my navigation bar. So this is just to restrict the directive, that how you can use this directive on your web page. So there are different values you have in the restrict. You have E, that is element. You have A, that is attribute. You also have like C, I think that is for class. Okay, and one more is there for comments. I don't remember that letter actually, but one more is there for comment. Okay, so 4 values you can pass. Maybe you can use it like a attribute, as an element, as a class, or as a comment. Usually we use it like a attribute or as an element, and you can do it like that. So right now in my directive I mentioned restrict A. This means this directive can be used as a attribute. So any element you can write, and in that element you can use this navbar as a attribute. Okay, and then it will show you that navbar.html page which you mentioned in the template URL. Okay. Okay, so this is how you can create the custom directives according to your requirement, and I hope this is clear to everybody. If you have any questions, please write it in the hand raise, otherwise you can click on the plus sign. Okay, so no questions there. So after understanding this directive, I'm going to tell you like how you can create service and what is the use of service. Okay, we use a lot of predefined services in our Angular JS. Like HTTP is a predefined service. You also have location provider, route scope. A lot of predefined services are there. Scope. Okay, so a lot of different type of services are there. Now in every service we have some predefined functions that I can use anywhere across my application. So let's say you want to create some function which you would like to share among multiple controllers, or you can say that you want to create a global function which you want to access from different controller files. Okay, just like suppose you are making a class in Java. Okay, once you make that class, you can create a package, and that package you can use it in multiple programs, or maybe like in multiple classes, okay, in your program. However, here we are not making a package and we will not be able to use in different application. Here we are making a service which I want to use in multiple controllers. So let's say I created one common function called factorial, which is calculating a factorial of a given number, and I want to create it as a global function which I should be able to access from my home controller, about controller, from all the controllers I can access that. Okay, so just like HTTP is a service and get is a method. That get method you can access from any controller by just specifying the name of the service in your callback function. Similarly, once you create your service, whatever function you created inside that service you can call from any controller. Okay, so that's why we create the services, and any number of functions I can define in my service, and I can use it anywhere. Okay. Alright, so what I'm doing is I'm just going to create one more folder here. So let's create a new folder, and this time I'm saying services, or maybe service. Okay, so service folder I just created, and this particular, inside this folder I'm going to create a new file. Okay, and I'm saying myservice.js. Okay, myservice.js. I'm just giving this name. Now after that I'm going to create a service here, so I can make it like the same way, angular.module, the name of the module here, dot service, and here I can give the service name whatever I want. So I'm giving a same name as I have a file name, but this is not at all mandatory that you should give the same name as you have a file name. You can give some other name as well. So whatever name you want to give, you can just write it there. So angular.module my_app.service, my service, and then I'm writing a callback function. Okay. So this is my function here. Now inside this function, I can just create some other functions which I want to access from other controllers. Now remember that whenever you want to add some functions here, you have to use this keyword. Okay, always you have to create a function using this keyword. So this dot, let's say I'm writing factorial. Okay, the factorial function I'm creating, and I'm writing function here, and I'm taking one parameter. So this is my function I'm creating, and let me just quickly write the logic for calculating a factorial. Okay, I don't think that I have to just explain you that. So I equals to number, I is greater than equals to 1, and then I can say I minus minus, and here I can say fact equals to fact into I, and then I can say return fact. Okay, I hope that I'm writing it correctly. So this is my logic for calculating a factorial, and how do I call this service now? But first of all, we have to refer this service in our index.html page so that I can access it from anywhere. Okay, so what I can do is, this is my factorial function I just created, which takes a parameter. Whatever value I pass in this function, it will calculate the factorial for that number. Okay. Okay, so now I'm just going to the index.html, and let me just add the reference. So I can say script src equals to, and then I'm going to write here service slash myservice.js. Okay, myservice.js I'm writing here, and after that, wherever you want to use this particular service, you can go to that controller and you can call that service now. Okay, so for example, I would like to access this service in the home controller. Okay, so in the home controller I want to call the service. So how do you call? It's very simple. You can simply mention the name of the service here, just like you mention the rest of the services. Okay, the same way you can mention the name of the service here. So the name of my service is my service. Obviously it's a user defined service, so you should not write the $sign. Okay, $sign we have in predefined service name, so we are not writing a $sign over here. So my service is the name of the service here. It's a user defined service. Now whenever I want to call a function inside the service, we can simply say my service dot the name of the function factorial, and then I can pass the value whatever I want. Okay, so this way I'm just passing a value. It will return the result because it is returning a value actually. So this I'm just going to add it in the scope variable so that I can display it on my web page. So scope.result equals to myservice.factorial5. I'm not calling this particular function inside any user defined function, so this means the moment I open the home page, it will execute this code. Okay, and I want to display this on the home page, so this is just for display. I just wanted to display here some data. So let me create here. So maybe I can write like this: factorial is result. That is how you can do it. Okay, now let me try. I'm just going to the home page. So yes, you can see we got this factorial is 120. So we are able to calculate the factorial of the value 5, and you can see it is showing over there. Maybe you can take the input from the user and you can pass it on to your function. So whatever input you will enter, it will calculate the factorial of that value. Okay, so that's how you can do it. Okay, so we created a very simple service here, and in that service I created a function. Now this particular function you can call from anywhere from any controller. You can call this function now. The only thing you have to do is you just have to go to your controller, mention the name of the service which you want to use, and call your function like this. Okay, that's the only thing you have to do. Similarly, if you want to call it from product controller, go to the product controller, add the name of your service, call the function. So it becomes a global function now, which you can call from anywhere, and that's the use of services in AngularJS. So predefined services also we were using in the same way, no? HTTP, scope, all these services we were using in the same way. So here also we can use that particular service. Okay. All right. So guys, I hope this is clear to all of you. In case if you have any questions, you please write it in the hand raise. Okay. So let me just open those files which are required. Home controller. So once again, you can see the code of the service. So whenever you are creating a new object in your application, don't forget to add the reference in your index.html file. Okay. If you don't add the reference in your index.html file, then it will not work. Okay, so you can see in my index.html, I added the reference of all the files which I have created, whether it is app.js or home controller, product controller, navbar.js, my service, each and every file we have added here, because this is a master file, master page of your project. Okay, the very first page which it will render on your browser is this one. So here we must have the references of all the libraries and files which I am using in my project. Okay. All right. So anything else that you want to ask? So guys, most of the things I have completed. In case if you have any further questions, you can ask your questions, please. And let me just check a few more things here. Okay, there is one participant from Karur is asking, can you something explain server-side technology? Which server-side technology you want me to explain? There are many. Is there any project that we have to do? Yes, I will give you small assignment actually. Okay, that you all have to create, and all that description I will send it to you over the mail, because right now I have not created that documentation. So I will write all the description and what you are supposed to do in that assignment, that I will write it in the Word file, and according to the specifications you have to create that assignment. Okay, so yes, definitely it will be there, and whatever concepts you have learned in this training, it will be based on those concepts only. Okay, however, you have to do some research, and I can add some of the things which you have to do it by yourself, but I will add only those things which we have discussed in our training sessions. Okay, is there any project that that I have answered? So can you show the home.html file? Just give me a minute. Okay, just give me a minute here. Home.html, if you want to see, I can just show you. This is my home.html. Okay, today's session link. Are you talking about Adobe Connect session? If yes, then it is same. Okay, whatever I shared yesterday or day before yesterday, it is same. It is not different. Have we covered most part of AngularJS? If not, from where we can cover? See, most of the things we have covered. Okay, some basic things we have covered already. But as I told you, there are a lot of dependencies we have in AngularJS, which also you can include. You have like Angular Animate, which you can use for adding some animations in your AngularJS. You can also use Angular Cookies, which you can use for creating the Angular Cookies. You also have Angular UI, which you can use for creating the Angular user interface elements. There are a lot of dependencies out there. Okay, obviously it is not at all possible for anybody to complete all the dependencies which we have in AngularJS in a particular training session. Okay, but you can get the reference of all these dependencies on the internet, and you have to do some research on it. I can give you some examples there. Okay, you can work on some of the dependencies. Let me just show you. Okay, for example, I'm just going here, I'm going to Google, and I can say Angular UI. Okay, so if you go to this Angular UI, you can see this is the another component we have in the AngularJS, which you can use for creating the UI components for AngularJS. Okay, so in this you will get many things. Just like you want to create a calendar in the AngularJS, you can use this Angular UI. You can also create the charts. Okay, date time picker, a lot of things are there. If you want to add Google Maps, so for adding some UI elements on your web page using AngularJS, you can use this Angular UI. Okay, similarly, if suppose I talk about here Angular Material. Okay, we have Angular Material here. Angular Material is also one of the AngularJS component which you can use for creating the components of your user interface. Okay, so just like here you can see there are a lot of components we have which I can create in AngularJS Material, and this you can see here. Just look at this. I can go to the CSS theming layout, not a layout, theming. Okay, demos. Yeah, here it is. So in the demos you can see we have this autocomplete, and you can see that if you want to create the basic autocomplete features and all these things, you can do that. Okay, so a lot of things are there. Okay, just like here you can see how you can create this type of a list. When you type something over here, it should filter that particular data. Okay, so a lot of things are there. If you want to create some different type of buttons, that also you can do like this. So these all things are available in your Angular Material. Okay, but this is not the core component of AngularJS. This is the additional dependency you can add in your AngularJS projects. Okay, so as I told you that AngularJS, it is not like it is limited. The scope is unlimited. You have a lot of dependencies. Some dependencies are also created by some developers, okay, the open communities, and they are regularly updating some components which you can add, and you can find it on the GitHub, and that also you can add it in your AngularJS. Okay. Okay, so Hema, you are asking, can you show a demo to add any API, for example, Google Map? See, that is not very difficult, I think, because the very first thing is, suppose you want to add a Google Map on your web page. It's quite simple. You can simply go to Google. There is Google here. Okay, and here you can write Google Map JavaScript API. Okay, Google Map JavaScript API. It will give you this particular link, Google Maps JavaScript API. You can click over there, and you can find out all the code and documentation on this website. Remember that if you are using any Google API, the very first thing which you have to do is you have to create a key. And you can see we have a button over here for creating a key. Okay, for calling every API for Google, you have to use that key. So you need to create that key only once, and then you can use that key while calling your APIs. Okay, so once you create the key, you can create the maps, and there are a lot of different options we have. Okay, so you can also go to the samples, and you will find out some samples over here where it will give you some code. So a lot of different samples are there. You can see some basic simple map is there. Okay, you can see this is a simple map. So suppose you want to add this type of a simple map. So what you can do, you can just add this particular code. Okay, this is the code you have. Okay, just copy this code, paste it in your application, and whatever script is written over here, this you can keep it in your controller. That's it. This is the only thing you have to do. And remember that the URL which it is giving you over here, it is saying your API key. Okay, so here you can replace this your API key with the key that we have you have generated. Okay, so for using any Google API, you have to use the API key, and the code is already there on your Google APIs, which you can simply copy and paste it in your application. Okay, so if you want to add this map, we need this code. Okay, just grab this code and paste it in your application, and it will work fine. Okay, Uday Kiran is saying, please send AngularJS notes to Sridhar Mari when 1@gmail.com. See, whatever email addresses I have, no. I got few email addresses only. I don't think that I have the email addresses for all of you. That's why yesterday also I suggested you to join that particular Adobe Connect session, and in that Adobe Connect session only I am sharing the link. Okay, it will be really difficult for me to share the link for the project files to each and every individual email address. Okay, so that is little difficult actually. So you please join that Adobe Connect session, and you can get the link from there. Hema is asking how AngularJS 2 and version 4 is different. See, AngularJS 2, okay, is entirely different from AngularJS 1. I told you that in AngularJS 2 we don't have any such concept of MVC. There is no such concept of controllers we have. Okay, it is totally based on the components, and it uses ES6. That is one of the I can say the standard of JavaScript. I don't know whether you know this or not. We have different standards of JavaScript defined by ECMAScript. Okay, so AngularJS 2 uses ES6 syntax of JavaScript, And also you can say that AngularJS 2 is the rewrite of AngularJS 1. So it is not like this is the like upgraded version. Yes, it is an upgraded version, but it is entirely different. In AngularJS 2 you will find out the entire different story. Whatever we have learned, only few things are similar. Expressions are there and some kind of filters I can add over there, and these many things you can find out same, but the architecture is entirely different. Okay, and AngularJS 4 is the upgraded version of AngularJS 2, in which they have added some extra features which was not there in AngularJS 2. So in AngularJS 2 there was no support for backward compatibility, which they have added in the AngularJS 4. Okay, so if you compare AngularJS 1 and AngularJS 2, I can say that it is totally a rewrite of AngularJS 1. Okay, there is a lot of difference we have in AngularJS 1 and 2. Okay, so this means if you want to learn AngularJS 2, it is not at all mandatory to have a knowledge of AngularJS 1, because AngularJS 2 has a total different story. Okay, so even if you don't know AngularJS 1, you can still learn AngularJS 2, because the architecture is different. Okay. It means AngularJS is used in market. Obviously, otherwise why we are learning this? Okay, you are asking, that means AngularJS is used in market. Obviously it is. Many developers use this in their projects. These days the developers are creating. See, AngularJS 1 or 2 or 4, that you can't say. That depends on the requirement and the architecture of your application. Okay, what kind of application you are creating, depending upon that you have to decide whether it is AngularJS 1 or AngularJS 2. So we can say that only AngularJS 2 is being used. Okay, so it depends, because I told you that there is a difference over there. Can you show how to create a chart or graph? See, in AngularJS, so I didn't try how to create the chart or a graph, but yes, I created the charts and graphs many times by using a third-party library called rgraph. Okay, which is a JavaScript based library. I used it, and I think this particular example we have in our HTML course. Okay, so that particular thing I know, but I really didn't try in AngularJS how to create the charts and graphs. Okay, any real-time example, application example of AngularJS? There are a lot of applications are there who are using AngularJS. You can see LinkedIn. LinkedIn is also using AngularJS, and Google is also using the AngularJS in their application. There are a lot of applications are there. Okay, so you can take the example of that Netflix. Okay, you can take the example of I think there was one more website, I just forgot the name. Okay, so there are many websites out there who are using AngularJS and these type of technologies. Okay. Okay, there is one participant is asking, can you add the code of Google Map in home controller to show on web page as an example? It's a request. Okay, fine. Let me just try this. I can do one thing. I can just make it on a different page, maybe on the about.html, because it's a blank page right now. So let me do it. So what code I need? I need this in the body. Okay, and this is a style I think we have. Okay, So let's grab this particular style also. And obviously for this we need to create our own CSS file, style.css, and I'm putting it there. Okay. So this I'm just putting it there, and I'm just adding a reference on the index.html now. So let me add a reference link, and I can say public CSS style.css. So this I just added a reference so that I can access it on my page, and this is my style.css, right? And now what I can do is I have to write this particular script code in my controller, and I also have to add this thing. Okay, so there is a script we have. This particular script I can take and I can add it in the index.html. So here only I can add, and where it is mentioned your API key, we have to mention the API key over there. So key you can generate from your Google Map and you can add it over there. However, I already have the key generated, so maybe I think it is on my desktop. Let me just check. Google API key, yeah, here it is. Because actually I used it in one of my project, this Google Maps, so that's why I kept it in my notepad file. So I'm just adding it over here. So you can see that I just replaced that your API key with the key here. This is my key actually. This you can generate from your you can say your Google Map website. Okay. So this is what I'm doing here. Now I can just go to my controller. I have to create a controller as well. So let me create a new file about controller.js, and let me create a controller here. The name of a controller I'm giving here as about, and here in this particular controller I can keep all my JavaScript code. So this particular code I can keep it there. Okay, this is my code, I'm just keeping it there. Okay. After that, okay, I didn't add the reference of this controller on my page, so let's add a reference here, about controller, and we also have to mention this in the app.js that this controller is associated with the page. So controller is about controller. Okay, so this controller I just created, about controller, which I am associating with my about us, about page. Okay, about.html page. Okay, so I think we are done, and now let me just try whether it is showing this or not. Okay, no, it is not showing. init map. Come on, buddy. 940 is the height it is showing. Just give me a minute. Sometimes it actually creates a problem. Actually, it is showing the 940 by 0. So what is 940? div map 940 by 0. Just give me a minute. Width is 500 pixels. Height is also 500 pixels. Map, have a controller. Okay, so maybe I can write it like this. Yeah, we got it. So we got this here. You can see this particular map, we got it here. Okay, no, there was no problem with the internet connection actually. Obviously internet connection is already enabled. That's why only I'm able to get this Google Map website and all. No, so we got this particular map over here. You can see basic simple map I just added over here, nothing special. So let me just tell you a few things which you should take care when you are using Google Maps in your AngularJS application. The very first thing which I have done is, like, I just copied this code in which I mentioned the URL. Okay, just look at here at the bottom. So we have the script src and this URL is there. Now remember, when you copy this particular URL, no, in your website also you can see in this particular URL at the end it has one callback function. Okay, callback function equals to init map. Now, but the problem is we are not creating a simple HTML page here. We have created the single page application. This means on the page where I want to show the map is different, and where I am adding this particular script is different. This script I am adding on my master page index.html, and I want to display the map on about.html. So we just remove this callback equals to init map. It should not call this particular function on the index.html. So I just kept it till this API key, and I removed this and callback equals to init map. Right. So this is this I just added, the script I just added over here. After adding a script, what you have to do is you need to just keep the code on your about.html, this one, div id map, and we are using one directive over here called ng-init. Remember ng-init we used earlier? So I'm saying the moment it initializes this page, it call this particular function. Now obviously if you are calling this function with ng-init, that function must be an Angular function. So that's why if you see the about controller, this particular function I created as an Angular function by adding it in the scope. So $scope.initmap. It was not like this earlier. It was like this, function init map. It was like this. but I changed that. Okay, I changed that to scope function so that I can access it on my web page by using the ng-init directive. Okay, so these are the few things that you should take care. Otherwise, the code is same. There is no changes you have to do. There are no changes you have to do in the code. So that's how you can add a map. Okay. So as you can see on my web page, I'm getting a map over here. And don't forget to set the width and height in the style.css. Okay, I set the width and height as 500 and 500. Whatever you want, you can set it over there. So this is a style sheet for your map. Okay. Alright, so I hope this is clear to you, the participant who has asked this question. Social media website like Facebook will be in Angular? I can't say that, okay, because I didn't research on this, that whether Facebook is using the Angular JS or not. So I really can't say anything about this, that whether Angular is being used in Facebook or not. Any FSCT? Yes, there will be an FSCT. Okay, we will communicate about this FSCT and the assignment very soon, and we will send this particular communication. I think Anu will send the communication to all of you, and accordingly you have to take the FSCT. Obviously, we will upload the questions online, and online you have to take the FSCT, and also you have to create the assignment. Okay. There is one participant is asking, can I use ng bind? See, ng bind has a different purpose. If you are using ng bind, then you don't have to use the expressions. Okay, you don't have to use the expressions if you are using ng bind. Alright, for example, let me just go to your controller. Let's say here I have a variable called scope variable I have, and in the scope variable I have name, and I'm just writing here John. Now I would like to display this value on the page. So usually what we do, we simply use the directive here, expressions. We write like this, name, and if I go back to my page, it will show you that name here. You can see we got here John. Okay, we are getting this particular value. In case if you don't want to use the directive, you can also use ng bind directive here. If you don't want to use the expressions, you can use the ng bind directive. So that you can write it like this: ng bind equals to name. Okay, ng bind equals to name. So this will also give you the same output. Just look at here. But the only thing is that this time you just changed the directive. You are not using the expression. You are displaying your data with the help of the ng bind directive. Okay? Is that fine? Okay. So guys, I'm just initiating a feedback over here. I request everybody to please complete this feedback. Okay, this is a regular feedback for SLT sessions. Okay, so I hope you can see the feedback on your screen. I request everybody to please complete this feedback. There are few participants I can see who are not responding, so I request everybody to please respond and complete this feedback. Please don't log off the session, okay? I just have to talk to you for 5 minutes. All right, thank you so much for this feedback. And one more thing I would like to just tell you, it will be great if you please share your feedbacks over here by just typing it in the hand raise. And I also appreciate if you spend some time and write a mail to my email address related to this particular training, and how was your experience and suggestions, any feedbacks you would like to share with me. I will really appreciate your efforts. Okay. So you can simply note down my email address in case if you want to discuss anything with me. You can write a mail to my email address, and it will be great if you share the feedbacks. Okay. So may I have some comments on this particular training, like how was this training, and how was your experience with Angular JS, what you have learned? Can I get something from you on this hand raises, please? Okay, so I got it from Madhuchanda, who is saying you have conducted the training in an excellent way. Thank you very much. Okay, thanks Madhuchanda for this comment. Thanks Vikas, you are saying that the session was informative, and you given real-time example projects. Okay, thank you so much. It will be great if you please write down your names, because you are using the guest IDs. It was a great learning. The pace was also good, and we have understood the concepts. Okay, that's good. It's very good. Pranav is saying the sessions were excellent. I had a clear overview of AngularJS. I would like to work more on the mean stack technology. Okay, so if you want to learn the mean stack technology, then probably you have to like go for the training, and then only you can learn mean stack, because mean stack is actually, it's one of my favorite subjects, and that's why I take trainings on the mean stack, and it is really amazing technology. Okay, so it's a stack of technology that you can use for creating your front-end application, back-end applications, and the good thing is that you just have to use JavaScript, no other language. Okay. Yes, it is nice. We can understand it clearly. Once we started implementing, then we may come across some doubt and error, then only it will clarify it. Okay, sure, Kanchana. You are most welcome. Whenever you are finding any problems, you please let me know. Training was very helpful. Got to know additional topics as well. Thanks. It was great training and executed well. Okay, thank you so much, Swati. But I think Swati already knows the AngularJS part. She has attended the training for mean stack. So, but still she's saying that she got to know some new topics, and that is really great. The way you explained us the topics is great. Thank you so much. It is very informative. It is good we have created so much course for create such course for student. Okay, thank you so much. Anita, I'm new to AngularJS, so this training is very helpful to understand the basics. Thank you so much, Anita. Richard, the session was good. Learned some new things apart from what I knew in AngularJS. Okay, that's good, Richard. Thank you so much, Deepa. I need a lot of practice on AngularJS. The session is very interesting. Thank you so much, Sandhya. And thanks for explaining such confusing topics in such an easy way. Okay, it's my pleasure. And if you have understood some complex concept in an easy way, then that means I have really done a very good job. So thank you so much for this compliment, participant from Chennai T Nagar. This is Lavanya. Session was excellent. Thanks a lot of for this. If I have any doubt regarding this, I can mail you. Yes, sure, Lavanya. Okay. You have my email address at any point of time. If you are finding any difficulties in implementing any concept in AngularJS, please don't hesitate and ask your queries over the email. Okay. I will be happy to help if I can help you in your projects or anywhere in your learnings. Good session and carried well, Bhagyashri. Okay, thank you so much, Bhagyashri. And okay, Dinesh is saying the session was very informative, as it is a new topic for me. Have to practice more. Yes, that is a must. Okay, the training was nice. Thank you so much, Heba. MR session is there, right? Yes, we have MR session between 1:30 to 3:30. Same. I will be available there in case if you are finding any problems. You please let me know. I will upload this particular application on that OneDrive link which I shared with all of you yesterday, and you please download this application from there and you can get the reference. The assignment which I will give you, it will be based on these all activities only. Okay, so that assignment I will share with all of you very soon, and then you need to create one small application based on AngularJS. Okay. Okay, thanks, John. Is it possible combine Angular and Python? See, Python you can use as a like a server side over there. AngularJS you are using on the client side. Okay, I didn't work much on Python, but we can use AngularJS with any of the server side technology, because AngularJS is not dependent on a particular technology. Okay, server side technology. So we can use it in with any server-side technique. Okay, very helpful. Okay, thank you so much from Kannur. Sessions are good. Okay, you explained very easily. Thank you, sir. Okay. Okay, so thank you so much all of you for giving these wonderful comments. I really appreciate. And please practice all these things, and in case if you're finding any problems in understanding any of the concept, you please let me know by writing a mail on my email address. Okay, I will be available today between 1:30 to 3:30 on the same Adobe link, and you can ask your queries in case if you have any doubts. Okay, so that's it from my side today. Thank you so much. Take care. Goodbye.